It's episode 8 of Stories from Wanderland. I can't believe we've been together for 2 months now, 8 weeks now we've been on this journey. It's amazing. For episode 8, for those of you who are here, as you know, Stories from Wanderland is my weekly show on unforgettable moments of traveling, living, and loving abroad for the culture explorer in all of us. And we're on episode 8 today, and we're talking about my worst flight experience. Plus, I'm gonna leave you with one tip on how to get over jet lag. So let's chat. So what was my worst flight experience happened in 2011. So that's what, 9 years ago? And I still remember that flight vividly. It was actually my flight to India. So when I was moving to India, it was the longest flight. So it's my worst flight for several reasons. This flight was the longest flight that I ever took. It was the first time I ever took such a long haul flight. It was also one of my worst flights because of passengers. So the passenger that was on the flight, and also one of the worst flights because of the food. So it for me all around it was just worse. So let's get into it. So in 2011, this is me. I was 9 years ago, so I was, let's say, 20, 25, maybe, about this. In my 20s, and I decided I'm moving to India. So I was living in France. I was living in France for maybe 3.5 years by now, and so I decided I'm moving to India to do an internship. So I was moving to India for work, and I was really excited, and I can't wait to like experience, you know, India. All of my French friends would tell me how great it is, and even other Europeans that I've met, and I was excited to see a new country. I really like Indian food. I used to eat a lot of Indian food in Jamaica, so I was like really excited, right? Can't wait to get on this flight to get to this country. So my flight was, I had several connections. So I was flying from France. So I had to go from France, fly to London, connect from London, and go straight to Bangalore in India. And then from Bangalore, connect my flight to Mangalore, 2 different places, Bangalore and Mangalore. From Bangalore to Mangalore, which was my city. So I had 3 connections. Anyways, I also had like tons of visa challenges. So my flight, we started out visa. I had to get a work visa from the Indian embassy, but they couldn't figure that out because I'm Jamaican, living in France. I had a student visa. I was on a student visa at this time. I didn't have a work visa. I was on a student visa, living in France. I'm Jamaican, moving to India, and the French embassy didn't know what to do with me with my visa. The Indian embassy in France were like confused AF. They were like, what? So I had to I had to talk to the Jamaican embassy to the European Union, which was in Belgium. So I had to call Belgium from France to find out what do I do. They were not sure, but they were helpful, and finally they told me I had to go directly to the Indian embassy in Jamaica. Could not get through with the Indian embassy in Jamaica. I had to call, lots of things. When I finally get through to the Indian embassy in Jamaica, they were all like, you're trying to do what? Why not talk to the embassy in France? And I'm like, I already did that. Anyways, we're not here to talk about the visa problems. Went through lots of layers, jumped through lots of hoops, and finally got my visa to go to India. So ready, time to get the flight. So booking flight was pretty easy. It's pretty standard. It's what I do all the time, using my method of, you know, using a bunch of several Google search and different flight search engines to compare and contrast flights and see what's the best time for my itinerary, which is just standard what you do. So that was fine. Finding the flight was pretty simple, and it was relatively cheap. Flying from France to India, relatively cheap. There were cheaper options. For example, if I flew France to like Oman and then to India, or France to the Middle East and then to India, but I needed more visas, and I didn't want to go that route. Yes, Rahim, it was a connected flight. I had to make 3 connections to get from France to India. So I had to go France, London, and then London to Bangalore in India, and then Bangalore to Mangalore in India, which was my town. So So I made 3 connections for my flight. Now, the real part of the flight was the horrible part was the London to Bangalore flight. That was, I believe it was maybe a 10-hour flight, I think. I don't remember. It was a long flight. And one, I had maybe like a 6-hour wait when I landed in London. I had a really long wait, and at that time there were not many food stores available. Like I just did not have that many options at the airport gate where I was at. I was at Heathrow, and then so I had a really long wait in London. When I finally boarded, the flight was relatively empty, right? But this lady, the passenger, I mean, she had my seat, which is fine, just sat. I had a middle row, and she sat right beside me, plop in the middle of the row. Everywhere else, fine, right? The flight was an empty flight, fairly empty, lots of empty seats, lots of empty rows. And this passenger just decided that she was going to fly. Hi, you saw me at Lashings. Did you say hi? I hope you did. Next time you see me, come say hi. Okay, Cubans? Okay, so I'm on this flight from London to India, to Bangalore, India, on an empty flight, and the passenger decided that she's gonna sit beside me. One, I was like, damn it, because I was looking forward to the middle. One thing I love about middle rows, when it's empty, you get a whole row to yourself, and you can just like relax, stretch out, curl up. I would normally just take off my shoes and normally have socks on and go to sleep. This was not happening because woman sit down right beside me. So I queued for what would you do in this part if you had a passenger just sitting right beside you on a flight? Is there anything that you do? Well, what I did was I dinged for the flight attendant, right? And I was like, hi, is there any way for me to switch seats? I asked to switch seats. You know, it's an empty flight. You know, maybe can we switch? The flight attendant looked on me. She gave me this look like I had arrows out of my head, horns growing out of my head or something. And she was not very friendly. She was just like, no, we can't switch seats. You just have to stay here, I'm sorry. And I'm like, what's going on? And then, so I was like, well, you know, what about, you know, this lady beside me? Is there a way for, you know, maybe she wants something, you know, different? Because since she was gonna be like so rude and mean and cold to me, I don't know why. Maybe, you know, she'd be nice to the person beside me. The person was like, oh no, I'm okay, I'm good here. It's okay, I'm good here. And she did her Indian nod. And I'm like, oh my God. So for that entire flight, at least 8 hours, I was just stuck upright in my seat. Could barely turn left, could barely turn right because this woman beside me. Then halfway through the flight, somebody was in the row in front of me. I don't know why they were just all congregating around me on this empty flight. Stephen, did you say you'd make lots of farting sounds to move to a different seat, a different row? That's a good idea. Maybe if I'm not afraid of being embarrassed, I'll try that on the next flight. So everybody, apparently I was just like surrounded on this empty flight, right? There were so many people just around me. The row before me reclined. So I can't move left, right, can't do anything because there's a woman beside me. And then the seat reclined. And I'm like, oh my God, it can't get any worse. It can't get any worse. But it got worse. It got worse because it was food time. And as much as, you know, people are just like, don't eat airplane food. Sometimes I don't really eat airplane food, right? Generally. But this was a long haul and your girl was hungry. So I was like, okay, I really hope the food was good. It wasn't great. I forgot I don't remember what my meal was. There was an Indian, I had a choice of beef, but I don't like beef. So I didn't, of like this stewed beef. I think it was I don't want to call it a goulash, but it might have been. Of beef, stewed beef, or an Indian meal. I think it was dal, or a vegetarian tofu something. Well, dal was also vegetarian. I chose dal because I don't like beef, and I did not want to eat stew beef on a flight. This was not happening, right? So I chose the dal. It was not good. It was not good. I did like the naan. They had naan, and naan was good, which is Indian bread. And Steven, you ate BWI food and got sick for almost 2 weeks. That sounds like you got some kind of like food poisoning. So I didn't get food poisoning. Thank God I didn't get food poisoning, and I ended up, but I did not eat. So that was like not a good flight. Steven, do you want to like share with me? Like, I feel like you have like some serious, real fun. Hop on this call and tell me about your flight. Let's just do the live chat right now. I feel like you have some funny things that you could share. Are you ready? We're waiting for Steven. I really hope Steven is gonna hop on the call. Hurry up, don't worry. Just wash off your face quick, and come. Don't worry about what your background looks like. My background is not great. We live, we vibing. Yay!
Hi. Okay, here I am.
Hiya. You having some serious funny suggestions. I feel like you went around. You experienced weird things, lots of things on your flight. What's your worst flight experience, or like something that really stood out for you?
No, I'm from Trinidad.
So
originally.
You used to leaving Ireland anytime. Okay, you have enough stories.
No, but I've been in the States for a long time.
Okay.
I went back to Trinidad in 2016 for my brother's wedding, and that was like in 27 years I haven't been there. Right. So when I got on the flight, ate the chicken. I think I took a picture of it too. I'll send you a picture of it. It looked nice and everything. Ate it, and by the time the plane touched down, my stomach was just grinding. I couldn't go anywhere, couldn't do anything. Almost 2 weeks. So by the time I felt better, spent a couple of days, time to come back.
Time to come back home. You spent your whole vacation in bed.
Yes.
I do not recommend, like, it's tricky to have airplane food. Like, if you have like a short, I think if you have like up to 5 hours, I don't generally eat the food on the airplane because like sometimes it's just not great, and so I will carry a snack. But for longer flights, like unless you really pack up your bag with like lots of food, it's really hard to like not eat on the plane, right? So after like 4 or 5 hours, you gotta like eat, and so it's really scary when the food is like worrying, concerning when the food isn't great, or you see the options there like, what's going on? I don't want to eat any of it. Or you try something that's safe, it's chicken, like. Are they gonna like mess up the chicken, and then you end up like you ended up sick with something that seemed like food poison or something for like several days. It's really like usually rough. I would suggest that as just somebody who's traveled so many times. I don't know if you agree, but like for short flights, just bring your own snack or buy something in the duty section. Like a sandwich or something, and just eat that. Bring it with you on the plane. And then really for the longer flights, you have to, you just have to risk it.
I know. I guess next time I just take sandwiches. I won't cook anything and put on the flight. Nobody want to smell other people's cooking that you bring on the flight, I guess. But yeah, probably just sandwiches next time. But actually, we're planning a trip to Rwanda. So yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do with that one. I'm kind of skeptical about eating.
That's one of my countries. I don't know what you're going to do because that's a long flight. There's no way you're going to get like a short flight to Rwanda.
I know it's a couple turnover flights we gotta
I don't know. Good luck. Hey, you gotta send me those pictures. When are you going? Are you going next year?
Definitely. Well, actually, we thinking even Rwanda or Angola, but we probably might do. It depends if we can get the passport for each country. Then we'll visit. Yeah, but so far just is Rwanda. And Angola is a nice country, but is the most expensive country in the world now. And
is it?
It is. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. I have to go research that. That is real good.
Yeah, $23 sandwich. Yeah, it's expensive.
Hi, Diedre.
All right, nice to talk to you.
All right, thanks so much for sharing, Steven. We're gonna talk about. Thanks so much.
All right.
Steven giving us all of the chat about his experience with food. So like that was just like my worst flight. For me, the flight was long. I also did not have. I was flying with economy. I think it was what's that economy? Oh, I forgot my flight language, but it was like comfy economy, so not like back of the plane, but it was still economy. So I was flying economy. I was flying for over 8 hours in economy, even though it was a full empty flight. I was surrounded by people, and the flight attendant was like really rude to me, and she didn't want me to move, and I don't understand why. She didn't want me to move. The passenger beside me also did not want to move. Then the passenger in front of me reclined. No, you did so great, Stephen. Thank you so much. The passenger in front of me also reclined their seat, and so it was just not a great flight. It was not a great flight. Stephen, you were amazing. That was such a funny story, and I'm so excited for your trip to Rwanda. Like, I can't wait. Can't wait. I hope you really do go, and so you can send me some pics so I can be inspired. Rwanda is one of the countries that I want to go on. I really love when you guys share. So I secretly kind of like to put you guys on the spot because it's always candid, and that's what I love. I love it candid. But it was so good chatting with you. All right, so second half, the next thing I'm going to talk about is one of my tips for getting over jet lag. So if you all know, jet lag is that sort of feeling of fatigue or tiredness that you get after like switching time zones or traveling for a long time and you end up changing time zones, right? There are several ways to get over, several like suggestions and tips and stuff, but the one that I like and I really swear by, and it's what I try to do for every one of my trips, is one tip to get over jet lag is to try to plan your flight, your organize your flight so that you arrive either at the beginning of the day in your destination or at the end of the day in your destination. So you know what I mean? So let me give you an example. When you're flying, especially you're flying to like really far countries, there are usually like time zone changes, right? So let's say you're on one flight from, let's use Jamaica going to Singapore, for example, and your flight in Jamaica is at 5 a.m. So in the morning, it's super early. You have to wake up really early, 5 a.m. But somehow when you do the time zones and the duration of the flights and everything, you'll be arriving in your destination at like 7 p.m. On that flight, what you want to do on that flight is while you're arriving at sort of like at the end of the day, on the flight, you want to match a day. So if so what I mean is you organized your flight to arrive at the end of the day in your destination, right? But you started your flight in the morning. So during the flight, you should pretend like it's a day and you should go about your daily activities. So even though you woke up really early, it's a 5 a.m. flight, and you're probably really tired or you want to catch up on some sleep, do not sleep. If you sleep on that flight, and then you land and it's 7 p.m., you will be so awake, so awake. You will, and that's when you will really start experiencing jet lag. What you want to do is, so you start 5 o'clock in the morning, you land in 7 o'clock at night, 7 p.m., right? But you're only spending like 6 hours on the plane. In those 6 hours, just pretend that it's a day. So you stay awake, read a book, watch some TV, walk up and down, walk through the aisle, keep active. Do not pretend that it's daytime. Do not, and also get yourself active. Do not sleep. If you sleep, then when you land and it's 7 p.m., which is not quite bedtime, but it's still in the night, you're not going to be able to sleep. Now, when you go through that day on the plane and you keep yourself active and you don't sleep, etc., when you land at 7, your brain and your body will think, oh, I woke up in the morning. I've gone through a full day of activities. Now it's nighttime. Now it's time for me to get ready for sleep. You will train your brain to think and perceive things like that. And you will reduce jet lag that way. Because one, it will be easier for you to get to bed, because in like another 2 hours or so, it will be like maybe 9, 10 o'clock, and that's like time to sleep. So it will be easier for you to get to sleep. Your brain will think, well, yeah, definitely morning, night, sleep time. And then you'll wake up fresh the next morning. You'll do another scenario. So let me know if you understand. Send me some thumbs up if you understood what I just said. Let's do another scenario using my tip to get over jet lag, which is arrange your flight to arrive at either the start of the day of your destination or the end of the day of your destination, and plan your activities during your flight to match that type of sleep. So let's do another suggestion. Let's say your flight was 1 p.m., but you're arriving at your flight was 1 p.m. and you're arriving at 8 a.m. or 6 a.m. At your destination. Now your flight is at 1 p.m. and maybe it's also like another 4 or 5 hour flight, but somehow because of the time zone difference, you're arriving in the morning, right? At 1 p.m. on your flight, it's bright, it's sunny, it's daytime, you already slept. Make sure you sleep on that flight. Do some little quick activities and sleep. Because when you arrive, because again, what you're doing is you're also training and tricking your brain and your body to think, oh, it was daytime, I did some activities, now it's time to get ready for bed. And then when you land at your destination, it's morning, oh, I slept, and so it's morning time. Make sure you sleep because you need to mimic or you need to copy nighttime so that you can sleep. When you get to the destination and it's 8 a.m., do not go to bed. Do not sleep. You need to carry out activities for all of that day. So, and then in the evening and go to bed at the time that you normally go to bed. So if you go to bed at like 9 p.m., then at your destination, when it's 9 p.m. there, go to bed. Don't spend time talking to anybody. Don't do any of those things. Just carry out your activities and go to bed at your actual bedtime. If you miss your sleep or when you miss these steps, that's the biggest ways that you're gonna get hit with jet lag, right? So simplest, easiest tip, it works all the time. Try to arrive at a set point to the day. Start of the day, end of the day, right? Make sure your arrival to your destination is either at the start of the day or the end of the day. And then on the flight, you carry out activities that would match your arrival time. That's really it for my tip on how to get over jet lag. And thanks so much for chatting. I think Steven, who hopped on the live chat with me, had a worse flight than I did because he got diarrhea or he got food problems after his flight. I just got hit with some very angry, irritating situations and an impolite flight attendant. This was actually a suggestion from one of you guys. If you have topics that you want me to talk about or scenarios or situations that you're curious about, then send me a DM, drop me, ask me a question, and I will cover it in my stories from Wanderland. But that was my show, and see you next week.